Hi, my name is Heather Gates, and we're here with the Young Adult Literature Club. This is Katherine Paterson, and we have some questions for her. Start off with, tell us a little about your upbringing.
Well, I was born on October 31st in 1932. Can you tell? I'm still so young. And I was born in Qinghai, China.
Oh.
I was in the middle of 5 children, and my parents were missionaries. And I moved with them 18 times before I was 18.
Wow.
That was hard.
Mm-hmm.
People said that I was an outsider. And the main characters in many of my books are also outsiders. My first college degree was in English from King College in Bristol, Tennessee. I taught 6th grade for a year in Virginia, and then I became a missionary myself in Japan. In 1962, I returned to the U.S. and attended the Union Theological Seminary in New York. I met my husband John, a Presbyterian pastor, there.
Katherine.
Don't say my name.
Katherine, when did you know you wanted to be a writer?
Oh, I never wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be either a missionary or a movie star, of course, when I was about 10 years old. And when I turned 20, I realized I wanted to be married with children. I suppose my life as a writer began in 1964. The Presbyterian Church asked me to write some curriculum materials for 5th and 6th graders. Since the church had given me a scholarship to study, and I had married instead of going back to work in Japan, I felt I owed them something for their money. So I began writing. By the time the books were published, I had moved 3 more times, acquired 3 children, and was hooked on writing. I wrote my first novel in a creative writing class. But I decided I didn't want to write nonfiction. I wanted to write what I loved to read, fiction. I didn't know that wanting to write fiction and being able to write fiction were 2 quite separate things. In the cracks of time between feedings, diapering, cooking, reading aloud, walking in the park, getting still another baby, and carpooling to nursery school, I wrote and published practically nothing. A friend in the church in Maryland, where we were living, felt sorry for me. Poor soul. There I was, 4 babies in just over 4 years. 2 adopted and 2 homemade. Trying to write, but with no success. So my friend decided to take me to an adult education course in creative writing 1 night a week. Eventually, the novel that I wrote in the course was published, and I had become a writer.
Wow. What are your hobbies besides writing?
I love to read. I play both the piano and tennis badly, but still like to do them. I have a wonderful family who are definitely outside interests in my life, and 7, count them, 7 terrific grandkids. Although I have very little skill as a seamstress, I've made 13 quilts. Vermont has long winters. I like crossword puzzles and Scrabble, even with family members who beat me at it. I love plays, like movies, and even like some TV, though my favorite programs always seem to get canceled. I've been taking a pastel class because I always felt I had no artistic talent. And then I realized that I'd really never tried. My pictures are about on a par with my piano playing, but I still love doing it. I'm very active in my church, and I'm currently ruling on the board. I belong to the U.S. Board of Books for Young People, just like me. That is the U.S. section of the International Board of Books for Young People. This keeps me in touch with people all over the world who are trying to make sure children everywhere experience the joys of reading. One of my most important activities right now is serving on the board of National Children's Books and Literacy Alliance, A number of my writer and illustrator friends are on this board as well. And we always have a great time when we get together for meetings. Our big project of the last several years has been the preparation and publication of Our White House, Looking In, Looking Out. It has given us a wonderful opportunity to help readers young and old think about American history in a new and exciting way.
That sounds great. Who has had the greatest influence in your life as a writer?
Many people and books have had a lot of influence on me, but I suppose I would have to say that my husband has had the most influence. He believed that I could write during all those years that no one wanted to publish anything I had written. He was the one that made me put writer on the IRS form instead of housewife. He is my first editor and my best booster. And no matter what I say, he always thinks I can write another book.
There you have it. Katherine Paterson. Now let's go to the streets for some questions from our kids.
Okay.
Why do you use swear words in your book, Bridge to Terabithia? We do not read them aloud in class, and yet we still understand the context in the sentence. What was your motivation to write Bridge to Terabithia? Where did the name Terabithia come from?
Jess and his father talk like the people I knew who lived in that area. I believe it is my responsibility to create characters who are real, not models of good behavior. If Jess and his dad are to be real, they must speak and act like real people. I have a lot of respect for my readers. I do not expect them to imitate my characters, simply to care about them and understand them. I wrote Bridge to try to understand for myself the tragedy of Lisa Hill's death, and though I was not fully aware of it, to help me face my own death. I thought I'd made up Terabithia. I realized when the book was nearly done that there's an island in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader by C.S. Lewis called Terabithia. Terabithia. I'm sure I found that unconsciously. But then, so would Leslie, who loved the Chronicles of Narnia. And, by the way, Lewis got Terabithia from the biblical terebinth tree. So, it wasn't original with him either.
What would you like to be remembered for when you're gone, aside from your writing?
Something on the tombstone, eh? I guess I want my children to remember how much I loved them and how much time I spent reading with them.
Hey there, Katherine. What aspect of writing brings you the most joy? Research, writing, etc.?
Well, Elvis, I love to rewrite. First drafts are usually painful, but a good rewrite morning is bliss. Teachers love to hear me say this, but I must hasten to add that when I was in elementary school, I didn't even know what a revision was.
Hey there, Katherine. I read that your son had an experience like Jess's in Bridge to Terabithia, losing a close friend in a freak accident. How did your son respond to the book? Was there a therapeutic value in this for him?
My son, David, still, now with 2 little boys of his own, finds Bridge a very difficult book to read. It's too close to the bone. Any therapeutic value the book has was for me, facing not only Lisa's death, but my own mortality call. I had cancer that year, and was hearing the bell toll.
Many of your books deal with very difficult subjects. How do you feel when you're writing about things that are sad or frightening?
It rips me up. If something terrible happens to my characters, I'm in agony.
If it's so painful to you, why do you do it?
I'm not quite sure why, except that I think the books I've loved the most are the books that make me experience the entire spectrum of life. They made me laugh and cry and worry. They frightened me. Everything that a person would normally experience in a lifetime is encapsulated by the covers of such a book. That's the type of book you love.
Thank you so much for coming to our Young Adult Literature Club with our guest, Katherine Paterson. See you next time. Bye.